Yeah, we'll talk about Onward. So it's the latest Pixar release.
Yep. Tom Holland and Chris
Chris
Pratt
Pratt,
and
yes.
someone else who I can't
Oh,
remember.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus of
Yes.
Seinfeld fame, who's
Yes.
also in Downhill. So she's sort of had a
Yeah, yeah,
mini
yeah,
career
yeah, yeah.
revival at the moment, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Was she in much? I don't think I've seen her name around much.
I've seen her in things.
She was in Curb Your Enthusiasm in like the old, well, certainly like season 2. I was watching recently.
Okay.
But that was 2001 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so anyways, Onward. So essentially, it's the plot of in the sort of Lord of the Rings-esque world where there's magic and adventure and
Yeah, yeah.
quests. They then learnt to have electricity and became the current world.
Yeah.
So it's basically our world as of today, but with mythical, the generic fairies, elves,
yeah.
and all that.
Is it like Bright? Do you know that film?
I never saw Bright,
Okay.
but
Because I mean, it
possibly.
looks like in a very similar vein, but this one's aimed at kids.
Yeah, I mean, I find it was a strange sort of combination. I sort of see where they're going with it. Cause there's a common thing with Pixar of like creatures, but aren't human in a human world, like in Monsters Inc.
Yes.
But it almost felt like, are you sure you don't want to just make them humans at
Yeah.
points? Because
Is there any point of them being
because
elves or
the main
goblins
characters
or
are
whatever?
elves, which are
They're
basically
elves, right?
they look human. They've got blue skin and long
big
ears.
noses or whatever.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, there are fairies and manticores and lots of other creatures in there. It's like
Yeah.
that's fine, but humans are also a part of that.
Yeah,
They were in
the
Tolkien as
humans
well.
Could be there as well, yeah.
But yeah, but I mean that's a minor quip.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, because the other thing what I was going to ask is it pure animation?
no,
No.
no. I
Okay.
think
There's nothing they do there that you couldn't do.
there's one set piece at the end which is very cool. Which, but I mean, it could quite. We have seen similar things done in CGI.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that, as I was saying, that the elves could easily be humans,
Yeah.
and that so much of the world is just the real world, essentially. Like there's, the what little magical. That seems harsh. What magical stuff's in it?
Yeah.
It could easily have been done with CGI. It could
Yeah.
have been a live action film.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say. But yeah, so the main plot is basically these boys who've lost their father on their 16th birthday, or one of them's 16th birthday. They get his magic staff and find a spell which can bring him back for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But it goes wrong, so they have to go on a magical quest to find another. I think it's called Phoenix Stone to
Okay.
use to bring the rest of him back before he expires.
Like milk.
Yes, exactly like milk.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's the setup, and the idea is essentially we've got these brothers on a road trip. One of them's into D&D, and one of them's all shy and timid and doesn't want to be cool.
Sorry, wait. The one who's into D&D
Oh yeah,
isn't the shy and timid one.
no. So Chris Pratt's character is like
Yeah. The boisterous one.
yeah, sort of this almost like stoner kind of like
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. So D&D sort of exists in this world under another name,
Right.
but it's based on real life in their world. So he
Okay.
uses the our cards and items and characters from D&D as his guide of where to go in real life, and that works.
Sorry, what?
So okay, so for example, in D&D,
Yeah.
in all their version of it, I can't remember what they called it,
Yeah.
but they, magic is a thing, and it's like, oh, and here's in the book, here's all the spells. But if you read those spells out in their real life, they will work as in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, so they use the D&D, like the equivalent of the player's handbook, as their guide for teaching each other the magic. And also, so like, oh, we need to go, the location of this Phoenix Gem is known by the Manticore. It has this Manticore's Tavern, and it's a card in the game. And then they go to the Manticore's Tavern, and it's a real place. Only now it's become like a sort of a fast food, like a sort of a chained restaurant aimed at families and stuff, which is a joke.
Yeah.
But it's like, hang on, why does this exist? Like, what? It's strange that a game that's, a fantasy role-playing game
Yeah.
is based on their version of real life. That seems... It's a strangely incongruous sort of... I mean, it's sort of... You kind of end up forgetting about it in the end, but it seems
Yeah.
like such a strange concept to think about.
It sounds to me like they've tried to do what Stranger Things did, but they've confused themselves and not managed to pull it off.
It
Do you know
hurt
what I
itself
mean?
in its confusion.
Yeah, but like in Stranger Things, because they're kids, they assign names to things in the real world from
Yeah.
D&D, like the Demigorgon.
That's the thing. In the critical thing in Stranger Things, they don't even that's their way, their sort of lens for understanding what's incomprehensible to them.
Yes.
But it doesn't. It's not directly that.
Yeah.
And they don't, destroy
And
the
also-
Demogorgon with what's in D&D.
Yeah.
Unlike this, where it's
And
like, this is the thing from D&D, and it works like this. And like, but why does it? And then also, if it's this easy to follow this quest from the game that presumably millions of people have bought in this world, why has no one else gone on this quest and found the stuff already?
That's really weird.
Yeah.
It's also weird that Dungeons and Dragons has become popular enough
To be in a Pixar film.
but also to be like the cool brother is depicted as the one who plays D&D now. Like,
Yeah.
that's such a huge change from 10 years ago when it would have been the nerdy loser who's the only one who plays D&D.
And now it's completely the other way around, because now the nerdy losers are like, I don't want to
I don't
want
wanna
to
play
associate
you.
my brother who plays D&D because he's so uncool with the jocks kind of thing.
Yeah. That's so weird. Like,
Okay,
that's such a weird cultural shift.
I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still
it is strange. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's a good film. I'd say it's like mid-tier Pixar.
Okay.
Probably like.
Give me a Pixar film that's worse than this.
Well, Finding Dory.
Okay.
I mean, right. This is
Is there a Pixar film that's worse than this that isn't a sequel?
probably going to be controversial.
Yeah.
But I don't like Wall.e very much.
Okay.
So I'd rank
That
this
is
higher than Wall.e.
controversial.
That is controversial. Also, this is going to be very controversial.
Yeah.
But Up minus the first 10 minutes. No, because right.
Okay.
Quick tangent about Up.
Yeah.
As everyone knows, the first 10 minutes is phenomenal.
I wrote an essay on just the first 10 minutes of that
Yeah.
film. For my, 3,000 words on just the first 10 minutes of that film.
It's that good.
It is spectacularly good.
But the rest of the film, it's not
is
bad,
okay, yeah.
but it's just it doesn't anywhere live up to that first bit. And the thing is, if that first bit didn't exist, Up would not be, I say, would be at the top of the sort of ranking of Pixar. I think it would be.
When you see, like, on Reddit, the only time anyone ever talks about Up is about the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's nothing.
Without it, it's a relatively sort of like generic kind of adventure thing.
I mean, it's
with a
good.
grumpy-
I
yeah,
enjoy
it's
it.
fine. It's enjoyable, but it's relatively. It's nowhere near as good as a lot of other Pixar output.
Yeah.
Like I'd
It
say,
just shows you how good that 10 minutes is
Yeah,
to
to-
elevate that film.
as
so
high as it
up.
is.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, so compared to say like Ratatouille and
Yeah.
Toy Story 2, I normally quote as like my favorite Pixar films. It's
Toy
not.
Story 2.
Yeah.
Really?
Hang on, quick side. Toy Story ranking.
1, 3, 2.
Have you seen 4?
No, I haven't seen 4.
Hang on, you don't like too much then.
I think it's okay. It's just the least good.
Wait,
of
I want
the
to talk about
three.
this. You think 3 is better than 2?
Yes, I do.
Explain yourself.
To be fair, I've seen 3 a lot more recently than I've seen 2.
See, because
I've only seen 2 like twice, I think.
Because other people have explained this in better detail than I can at the moment. But basically, 3 is essentially the same film as 2.
Right.
In the sense that, they're happily in Andy's attic.
Bedroom.
That's the word. But then, they one of them gets separated. Or no, they all get separated kind of from there. And then Woody's sort of like fighting between these two. Between being with the rest of the toys or being with this new owner who will care for him. And it's like, oh, we've got to get back to Andy's room. It's like, but maybe I'm happy here. And that's sort of, that dynamic is in both. But in Toy Story 2, it's done
Good point.
better.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I
Also,
think
I find Toy Story 3 is a lot more manipulative than 2.
it is.
Which, I know there's, cinema is the machine of manipulation. But Toy Story 2 is so much more organic with how it worked. With Toy Story 3 is like, oh look, they're in the rubbish dump, they're going to be burnt. Oh, you sad yet? They're going to be burnt. And Toy Story 3 is like, they're just doing their own thing. We don't need to artificially put them in an incinerator.
No, you've actually mentioned that. You've elevated 2 in my... Because all I remember from 2, or how I picture it in my head, is just... Oh yeah, it's like the middle one. And I never liked the fat guy. Because he's just weird.
Oh, you mean Al?
Al, yeah.
But he's such an entertaining villain.
Yeah, he's a good villain.
Yeah.
And also the old man's really creepy.
I mean, I do have a... They all met... What? The guy who cleans them up?
Yeah.
That's the same model as the Jerry from Jerry's Game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find him creepy?
Just his weird big eyes and I find him a bit creepy looking.
I find that scene really satisfying when he's been cleaned.
Yeah. That's a good scene. There's a lot of it.
Well, I think I've got a slight bias to Toy Story 2 anyway, because when I was growing up, I remember we went to Woolworths and me and my sister were allowed to buy like one VHS each, and I bought Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
And so that was my VHS.
Yeah.
And I watched that film as a result so much from my childhood.
Okay.
So things like that cleaning scene and like the opening Buzz Lightyear video game, I like these properly nostalgic images for me, and I see them like, oh, yes.
That's the one with Barbie, isn't it?
Yes, in the shopping, in the toy barn,
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I need to rewatch them, and then
I
also haven't seen 4.
Yeah,
I'm just assuming it's not as good as 1, 2, or 3.
I would rank them as 2, 1. Oh, that's interesting. 3 or 4. I think 3, 4. I
2,
think
1, 3, 4.
4. So 4's not a bad film, but it does feel there's something hollow about it.
What I feel is like 3 was like, oh yeah, this is the final chapter. We're saying goodbye to Andy.
Yeah.
I feel like that was they'd closed the door on it.
Exactly.
And then they were like, oh lol, we're back.
Yeah. So the thing was, so 3's about like moving on to a different owner. Then 4 is about Woody, because he keeps having these things around to separate from the toys and do his own thing.
Yeah.
4 is exploring that, and like maybe he should leave the toys.
Right.
Is essentially where that goes.
Oh, I don't know.
But
3 is just such a good ending to that arc.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
4
because it's like he's literally like goodbye.
Yeah, that's the
like,
thing.
Goodbye partner. That's
4 doesn't need to exist, but the fact it does exist isn't a detriment in the same way like other unnecessary sequels are.
It's just 4 feels a lot more like a cash grab than well.
Also, I find something very ironic about the fact that there's a thing about she's made a toy out of bits of trash.
Yeah.
And that's equally valid as a child's toy than any of the other shiny plastic things.
Yeah.
And then what turns up in all good toy stores is like a £20 solid plastic model of Forky.
Yeah. Yeah.
To buy. It's like I can't believe how much you missed the point. Like completely soared over the top of the point, landed in the pond somewhere else. Like.
Yeah.
Were we talking about Onward at some
point?
Yes,
we were.
Yeah, so
aside.
But yeah, some mid tier.
Okay.
I'd say I'd give it sort of like an 8 out of 10.
Right.
One
of my favourite Pixar films is Coco.
That is a good one. I keep forgetting that exists.
That's good. It. Everyone forgets it exists.
Which is weird because when it came out, it was so hot, and then it's
huge
sort of
as well. It was like one of the highest grossing films in Mexico.
Yeah.
As I think. Yeah, like made a shitload of money in Mexico alone. It's like that's
that doesn't surprise me. But I remember I was talking to someone recently about I think Pixar's been on a decline since Inside Out, and they said, "What about Coco?" I'm like, "Oh yeah,"
but everyone forgets about it. But it's such a good film.
Oh, Inside Out is my other favourite Pixar film.
I haven't seen Inside Out, but everyone says I need to because apparently it's really good.
Speaking of Inside Out,
yeah,
because Pixar have recently been ever since really Toy Story 3, they've been into let's make our audience cry like little bitches.
Yeah.
So. Onwards sort of does that, but basically because I don't want to spoil it. I didn't cry.
You didn't cry.
What I can say is I can understand why people would cry.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, what I'm going to say is, considering the theme of the film,
yeah,
you can work out roughly what it's going to be anyway. You can sort of see it coming.
Yeah.
Unlike, I'd argue Inside Out, it's less obvious, which is probably one that's made me cry the most.
Right.
But also Inside Out, I feel, is a lot more of a universal thing. So I think more people like to cry at that. Well, I think Onward, you sort of have to have specifically experienced the backstory of the characters for yourself to have that relation to really. I mean, I feel why it's sad, but it didn't hit me in quite the same way.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is, unlike say Inside Out's sad moment is sort of about at what we'd call the lowest moment of the character, like it's sort of near the middle. Well, this is the end, and it's a bittersweet conclusion.
Right.
So it doesn't have that same weight. Well, Inside Out just made me miserable. I mean, in the good way.
Yeah.
But this was more of like an uplifting kind of sadness, like happy crying.
Yeah.
So I didn't cry, but I can see why people would. Which I'd argue though, that sort of making that more of a specific. Because that's the one thing I didn't really like about Pixar recently, with the sort of trying to make you cry. It's the emotional manipulation again, but it seems so sort of
forced, doesn't it?
Yeah,
they're really trying to make you cry.
Yeah, but also almost being cheating by being oh, we're going to do something that everyone, you can't help but cry at. It's all like kicking someone in the balls and being like, oh, look, we made you wince over in pain. Like, yeah, because you kicked me in the balls.
Yeah.
Well, this is a lot more of a tactical kick in the balls.
Yeah.
Which I think is at least shows a bit more skill, more... Not that Inside Out... This is really difficult to talk about without spoiling either. But, like, not that Inside Out one is bad, because it still fits with... Both of these sort of sad moments fit with the themes and the message and the story of the film. Like, none of them feel, like, forced in.
Mm.
But I do think Onwards has like more of a tactical approach to it. Like it's more sort of precise in who it's targeting, and I think because of that, it seems like it's more worth it and more controlled. Where Inside Out's just like, let's just pull on those heartstrings a bit.
Yeah. Does this does feel like a bit of a off one.
It does seem like it's sort of
like there's got nowhere near as much promotion behind it. Or it feels like it doesn't have as much.
The
promotion
general sort of
it.
audience reaction has been a lot less than most Pixar things, certainly.
Because what was the last Pixar film to come out? Was it
Cars 3? No, Toy Story 4.
Yeah,
but then Cars 3 before that, I think.
Yeah,
which is strange because Cars 3 is a film that I remember nothing about it coming out. Like that was such a low key release, but apparently
I remember everyone loved the trailer, but no one liked the film.
Well, I was doing because I was looking back at Pixar stuff the other day. Preparing for this, and like Cars 3 seems like it has actually relatively decent reviews.
Yeah.
Like apparently it gets rid of a lot of the stuff that made the other Cars films kind of like it basically gets rid of all mention of Cars 2. It gets rid of Mesa, and it's like a lot more sort of streamlined and a grown up version of Cars, I guess.
Yeah. Cars is a good film. I enjoy Cars. It's alright.
I haven't seen it since I saw it in the cinema.
Wow.
So, in 2006, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't really comment, but I mean
it's decent.
It does feel like the sort of a sellouty film of just like, what can we easily make merchandise of?
Yeah.
Cars. How about cars that are alive? Like, okay, well... But then I suppose you could argue that Toy Story was about, how can we make merchandise? Toys that are alive.
Yeah.
Which is strange that Toy Story even turned out so well because of that.
But Toy Story, I feel like they came from a different angle with that. Like Cars, you can definitely see let's merchandise this as much as possible, whereas Toy Story is like...
Toy Story was essentially an experimental film.
Yeah.
It was the first time they'd done like a fully 3D animated film. And there was so much to prove that, they're all like fresh graduates.
Yeah.
They had to really prove to everyone who didn't think this was going to work, like, that this was going to be the next step forward. They could do this. I think that was a lot more from the heart.
Yeah.
Well, I think recently Pixar's been a bit slumming it a little bit more.
Yeah. There's some really good Pixar films, though.
Oh, yeah.
Ratatouille. It's a belter.
Absolutely.
I really like WALL-E. Back to WALL-E quickly.
Okay. I don't dislike WALL-E. I just don't think it's the best film.
I don't think it's the best film either. The first time I watched it, I didn't like it.
No.
But then I watched it like a couple more times, and now I really do like it. Because also there's some really good sci-fi there.
Yeah.
As well. Like, behind the whole Pixar heartstrings bullshit, there's also some really, really good sci-fi. And I really like that. Like, people just left the Earth and they've been circling it for, however many years it is.
I think I like all that stuff. I like, the silent cinema stuff near the beginning. And,
yeah.
I mean, I can't really put my finger on why it doesn't thrill me the same way other films do. Like, it's just a case of there's a limit of how much I like this film for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I do distinctly remember is that I feel while the sci-fi stuff's good and there's, like, social commentary...
Yeah.
It gets so heavy-handed towards the end. I was like, all right, I get it. You're anti-consumerist. It's like, oh, look at all these fat people who can't move. They keep getting drinks. I'm like, yes, I get it, Pixar. I get it.
Ironically, it was hugely selling out, wasn't it?